If you want to see how a single player can spark real business change, look at the Indiana Fever's recent move. Aari McDonald's signing wasn't a blockbuster deal or a long-term guarantee. It was a strategic roster move under a hardship exception. But this decision comes at a time when the Fever's attendance has dropped to the lowest in the league, and the franchise is searching for answers beyond the court. We're not just talking about basketball stats. This is about the Fever's urgent need to revive ticket sales, energize their brand, and attract new revenue streams. We'll break down how McDonald's Arizona run turned a struggling program into a business success, and why the Fever's front office sees her as more than just a quick fix. So what makes this signing so different from the usual WNBA roster shuffle? When the Fever brought in Aari McDonald, it wasn't just about adding another guard to the rotation. This move stood out because it addressed a deeper need, a business problem that basketball alone hadn't solved. While most WNBA transactions are about plugging a gap on the court, the Fever's front office saw an opportunity to address their struggle to fill seats and boost jersey sales since their peak era. With the city's attention already split between the Colts and the Pacers, the Fever's profile had faded. The energy that once filled the arena during the Tamika Catchings years was missing, and the typical rebuild strategy wasn't translating into excitement at the box office. To understand why McDonald was the answer, you have to look at what hadn't worked. The Fever had drafted top talent and invested in high-profile picks. Aliyah Boston, for example, arrived with all the credentials of a franchise cornerstone, but even her presence didn't move the business needle in a meaningful way. The stands still had empty seats, and the merchandise racks weren't clearing out. The Fever needed something different, someone who could do more than just play. They needed someone who could connect. That's where the McDonald anomaly comes in. Her impact goes beyond points and assists. Her story and underdog brand resonated in Arizona, creating fans out of casual viewers. She's not just a player who puts up numbers, she's a catalyst who builds a following. Her college career is packed with moments that captured attention, transferring from Washington, sitting out a year, then leading Arizona to a historic NCAA tournament run. That narrative of resilience and grit isn't just inspiring, it's marketable. It's what turns a basketball player into a community figure, and it's a story that fans want to buy into. But there's more to it than a compelling journey. McDonald's commercial footprint was already visible before she ever suited up for the Fever. Through her college stardom, she landed significant NIL deals and built a net worth estimated between $1 and $1.5 million. That's not typical for a player who entered the league without the hype of a #1 draft pick. Her ability to connect with fans, build a dedicated community, and turn her narrative into real business outcomes is rare. She didn't inherit a massive fan base, she created one, from the ground up in Tucson. This is precisely what the Fever needed. They weren't just betting on a speedy guard to boost their win column. They were investing in a proven builder, someone who had already shown she could transform a program's business fortunes by making fans care, show up, and spend money. The front office recognized that McDonald's value wasn't just her on-court skill set, it was her knack for galvanizing a community and creating a sense of belonging around her teams. That's the real anomaly here. It's not just about what she does on the court, but about how she changes the atmosphere around her. And as we look closer at how she pulled this off in Arizona, we find the blueprint for what the Fever hoped to replicate. There's no better case study for the Fever than what happened at the University of Arizona. The story starts with a program that before Aari McDonald's arrival was largely overlooked. Arizona women's basketball had always played in the shadow of football Saturdays and the school's storied men's team. Games drew sparse crowds and local media barely noticed. The arena often felt empty and the program lacked any real buzz. There was talent, but no spark to ignite the fan base. Then came McDonald's transfer, and most importantly, her electrifying 2021 NCAA tournament run. In that breakout season, she averaged 19.1 points per game and led Arizona to its first ever national title game, an achievement that instantly changed the perception of the program. The games weren't just about the scoreboard anymore. They became events that people wanted to witness. Each night, McDonald's fearless drives and clutch performances against powerhouse opponents didn't just rack up wins, they created moments that fans wanted to be part of. One of the most talked about highlights was her game-winning shot against Indiana, a play that sent jersey sales soaring and packed the stands for the next matchup. It wasn't just the on-court heroics that made a difference. Fans connected with her story, the underdog who transferred, sat out, and then became the face of Arizona's biggest basketball moment. The emotional investment grew with every game. People wanted to see what would happen next. This connection shifted the culture around the team. Suddenly, attending games became a must, not just for basketball diehards, but for anyone who didn't want to miss out on history in the making. That sense of anticipation and belonging drove fans to buy tickets, fill the arena, and show up in McDonald jerseys. Arizona reported record attendance sellouts following her tournament run, with merchandise demand climbing noticeably. The buzz didn't fade after the final game either. The excitement carried into the following season, proving that this was more than a fleeting moment. The university also noted a notable uptick in fundraising and booster engagement, directly tied to the energy and attention McDonald brought to the program. Her impact on revenue was clear, and it all came down to the combination of her high-stakes playing style and her relatable, determined persona. This wasn't just luck or a lucky streak on the court. It was a demonstration of how a single player's unique qualities, her ability to deliver in big moments, and her compelling backstory can transform not just a team, but the entire business around it. The Arizona Blueprint is about more than winning. It's about creating a story that people want to invest in, both emotionally and financially. With that kind of transformation possible, the question for the Fever isn't just about what McDonald can do on the court. It's about which new markets and audiences she might unlock for the franchise next. For the Fever, unlocking new revenue streams starts with understanding how today's fans interact with sports. They have a loyal core group that has followed the team through ups and downs, but loyalty alone wasn't fueling growth. The challenge was clear. Their audience wasn't expanding, and the team struggled to reach younger, digitally savvy fans. This isn't unique to Indiana. Across professional sports, organizations are asking themselves how to connect with Gen Z and Millennials, two groups who are shaping the future of sports consumption and spending. Traditional marketing just doesn't cut it anymore. Gen Z and Millennials aren't tuning in for cable broadcasts or flipping through print ads. They're on social media following athletes as much as teams and looking for stories that feel real. They want to see behind the scenes, hear directly from the players, and feel a genuine connection. For the Fever, the question became, how do you bridge the gap between a legacy sports brand and a digital-first generation? Aari McDonald offers a solution. Her growing online presence and authentic engagement fit perfectly with what younger audiences want. She doesn't just post highlight reels, she shares her journey, her challenges, and her personality. Her social media isn't a polished PR stream, it's a window into who she is, and that resonates. While the Fever may not have precise numbers on her follower demographics, her style and the way her audience interacts with her content align with the habits of Gen Z and Millennial fans. For the franchise, this means immediate access to a segment they've struggled to reach, fans who value authenticity and digital connection over traditional marketing. But McDonald brings more than just a digital boost. She carries with her an out-of-market following from Arizona, where fans already bought into her story during her college days. That community, built on her standout performances and compelling narrative, remains loyal to her. By signing McDonald, the Fever didn't just add a player, they tapped into a pre-existing passionate fan base that extends far beyond Indiana. These fans bring new eyes to Fever games, buy merchandise, and engage with the team online, creating additional revenue streams that wouldn't exist otherwise. This expanded audience makes the Fever more attractive to corporate sponsors. Instead of pitching only to a local fan base, the front office can now speak to an expanded demographic segment, thanks to McDonald's existing following. Sponsors see the value in reaching not just Indiana fans, but also younger, digitally active supporters from across the country who are already invested in McDonald's journey. The Fever's pitch is now about diversity, reach, and the ability to connect with consumers who are often elusive for traditional brands. The ripple effect is clear. McDonald's presence gives the Fever new tools to grow ticket sales, merchandise revenue, and sponsorship value, all while building a stronger, more engaged community. The real impact of this move, though, goes beyond numbers. It's a live experiment in how a single player's story and digital influence can change the business trajectory of a franchise. And as this story unfolds, it's setting the stage for a much bigger conversation about how teams can transform themselves, not just on the scoreboard, but in the boardroom. The Fever's signing of Aari McDonald stands out as a timely business move, one that reveals how a franchise can use a player's narrative and digital reach to address real revenue challenges. With the WNBA gaining national attention, especially as the 2025 2025 draft heads to New York City, every team is looking for an edge. Whether this move yields measurable revenue growth or primarily energizes the fan base, it sets a benchmark for human-centered strategies in sports business. The lesson here is twofold. Identify athletes whose stories resonate beyond the court and translate that connection into new streams of revenue. If you're in sports or business, hit subscribe to follow these case studies and learn how athlete branding drives real ROI